Hey there, welcome to practice. I'm Brenton. I'm here today with Ollie.
Hi.
And today we're going to be practicing a class called Happy Hammies. So it's all about our hamstrings, getting our hamstrings nice and long and also strong. Because sometimes they're short, but they're also weak. And so we got to get our brain getting them nice and strong so it feels safe about them, and then more length will be available to us. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on our backs. I'll guide my practice. Ollie will do his variation of his practice. You'll do your variation at home. And take your time to come on down and get yourself nice and cozy on your back. Take a few deep breaths in and out through your nose. Sense where your hammies are and how they're feeling today. So your hamstrings are actually a series of muscles on the back. They start up at your sit bones, which are the very base of your pelvis. And then there's 3 big muscles that come down and they attach on the inside and outside of the knee. So let's see if we can feel these. Go ahead and take your feet to the floor wherever is comfortable. Arms down by the side, chin tucked to the throat. We're going to press the feet down and forward and feel your buttocks and your hamstrings contract while your pelvis is still on the floor. So you can feel the brain is now turning on the hamstrings, the buttocks, right at the sitting bones. Like, where does your butt and your hamstring become the next thing? And now grip all of that and lift your pelvis up off the ground a few inches. So here you want to feel your butt do more of the work than your hamstrings. So sense that for yourself. Which part is engaging more right now? And do 70% glutes and then ramp up the hamstrings by pushing the feet down. Now we'll feel the hamstrings here. We're actually going to lengthen them by straightening the leg a little bit. The way you do that is heel toeing the feet a little bit more forward on the mat, just a little bit until you feel, oh wow, now my hamstrings are working differently. So you're still using your butt. You're not, they want to work in concert with each other here. And now we're going to lengthen them a little bit more. So heel toe your feet a little bit more forward. Still control the position with your butt and feel the hamstrings. Can you do that one more time? And just keep breathing. Frontal hip bones hugging toward each other on the front. So that's what the pelvis wants to do. Let's go ahead and take the hips down to the floor. Feel your legs. Walk your feet a little bit closer in. And still feel your feet push down and forward so that your hamstrings and your buttocks are turned on again. Interlock the hands behind the head. With the elbows wrapped into the face, curl up off the head and off the shoulder blades. Let the head go nice and soft into the hands, chin to the throat. Really press the feet down and forward and feel the strength of the legs. Ground down through your navel, through your lower ribs, and come all the way back down. Press your feet down and forward. Come on up off the shoulder blades. Head soft into the hands here. Option to reach the right hand around and grab for the right sit bone. So that's around. You got to grab into the flesh of the right buttock. See if you can kind of feel that flesh in there, just so the brain can start to map it. Grip that flesh and hug the right butt cheek to the left butt cheek. Take the right hand behind the head, come on down. Press the feet down and forward, lift up off the shoulder blades. This is hip stability that we're working on. Can you free the left hand, reach it around, grab the left buttock, and really finger in there for some bone, the bottom of the pelvis, and feel the tissue around it. Contract the tissue, use that to squeeze left buttock to right. Return the left hand behind the head, come on down. We're going to do that one more time on each side, but this time you have the option to take the legs off the floor to feel the legs and the hamstrings work differently. And so if you have a yoga block that you want to use to squeeze in between the legs, you can do that. We're going to lift up off the shoulder blades. Right hand reaches around for the right sitting bone, seeing if you can locate it there with the fingers. Put the brain there, squeeze in. Take the right hand behind the head and release. One more time, set your legs however you can set them. Lift up off the shoulder blades, head soft. So don't let that go. As you reach the left hand around, maybe gripping for the left buttock, hug the flesh, and taking the left hand behind the head, release. Good job, you did it. Deep breathing in and out through the nose. Soft jaw, soft tongue, soft face. Take your time to come on up to a seated position. Anything you like to do in a seated position, any forward folding, stretching of your wrists is good with me. When you're ready to come on to your hands and knees, we'll set up for our dolphin pose. For dolphin pose, take the elbows down, closer together than your shoulders. You can have your hands wider than that or clasped together, depends on how your shoulders and your arms feel. Tuck your toes, lift up off the knees for dolphin. And here, survive by breathing in and out through the nose, softening the face and jaw. If you can't do that, come out of the pose and work on something else. Try to use the effort of your arms evenly, pressing down through the hands, through the forearms, utilizing the muscles of the upper arm. Neck nice and soft. Take the knees down to the floor, shoulders over the elbows, and come on up to the hands. Really keep yourself nice and soft here, because then you're calm, and when you're calm, you can actually stretch more. So as you feel ready, lift up off the knees, send the hips up and back for first downward facing dog. And so this is where you're gonna start to feel those hamstrings kind of barking at you a little bit, especially if you're tighter there. So feel free to walk it out a little bit and focus first and foremost on getting calm. What do you need to do to get calm? Now try to push weight into your feet as much as you can. Push weight off of the hands and start to walk your upper body back to your feet. And see what your hamstrings will give you here. So soft bend into the knees. We don't want to go balls to the walls here. The hamstrings want to feel like they always have more space to stretch if you need it. So you're never really tinkering with that end range. But your end range will change over time if you continue to come to the middle ground. So let's bend the knees. Feel the hamstrings support you, because in an ideal world, when you bend your knees, your hamstrings are working. So actually take your hands back there, feel the hamstrings, scoop the tailbone, and come all the way up to stand, and feel how the hamstrings support you. When you get all the way up, reach the arms wide and high, and breathe out, take the hands down. One more time, anything you like up here. We'll take just a moment to be on our own, stretching a little bit, breathing, whatever's gonna feel right to you. When you're ready, we'll take the hands to the pelvis. We'll find the spine in neutral as much as we understand what that is. And then we'll bend at the knees and the hips for chair. Here is where we'll bob a little bit, trying to find a position that's tolerable for the ankles, for the knees, for the hips, and start to feel the hamstring muscle underneath the thigh, supporting that up and down, up and down, up and down. You can use your hands on your pelvis or on your back to kind of feel what's going on there. You want that to be pretty stable. Now come down, so you're bending at the ankles, the knees, and the hips. Take the hands into the hip crease with your forefingers wrapped around the front, and see if you can squish your fingers between your pelvis and your thighs as you tip your chest more forward, relaxing through the head and neck. And so you're just playing a little bit of an edge here. Rock your weight forward to your toes a little bit, then rock your weight back to your heels, and play around with the weight placement in your feet until you kind of find a place that feels appropriate for you to work. As we feel ready from here, we're going to sit the hips back, come back into chair pose where we just were. Here we are, trying to find a nice neutral spine out of the pelvis. Use the muscles of the legs as you come up and down. So gravity, you can always depend on gravity, but try to work the muscles. Hands to the front of the pelvis. We're going to see, can I sandwich my fingers between the pelvis and the thighs as I tip forward any amount? The legs do not have to be straight. And think here, it's a straightening action, but it's not straight. Really ground down through the heel. And imagine your shin is really grounding to the floor as your thigh bone is lifting up into the pelvis. Let's bend the knees, scoop the tail, use the legs to curl ourselves all the way up to a standing position. Feel your legs underneath you. Mine are a little bit shaky as you reach all the way up and soften the hands down. One more time, reaching the arms all the way up. Feel this as an opportunity to lift your chest and hinging forward over the legs to a forward fold. Relax through the back of the neck. We're going to walk ourselves forward to downward facing dog. It's just that upside down V position. You decide the distance between your hands and feet. Try to be more in your fingers than you are in your wrists, and have that be something that the whole arm tries to do. Shifting the shoulders forward over the wrists, stepping the feet back for plank pose, top of a push-up. So trying to survive, breathing nice and easy through the nose. We'll tap the knees down to the floor. Use your buttocks and your hamstrings here. So it's not like they just go snooze town. We want to use them to control the pelvis as we bend the elbows, keep the chest open, lower all the way down. Release and relax when you get down here. Just kind of let it go mushy. Easy breathing. Integrate your core, get organized there as best you know how. And then we'll lift the right foot and knee up off the ground just a couple of inches. And guess what you're using to make that action happen? Send your hamstring and then also the buttocks. So gripping all of that, add the left foot and knee to the mix, lift it up off the ground. When you do this, we want to feel the low back broaden left to right. So if you feel a pinch back there, work on broadening the low back as you lift the foot and knee up off the ground. Really use the hamstring. So now let's alternate lifting and lowering, one leg at a time, like you're swimming. And really using the muscles of the legs to get that action to happen. Let's lower the legs down, see if there's a change in the low back or the low part of the belly. I feel a lot more spacious down there. Hands down underneath the elbows, roll the shoulders away from the ground, but keep all of that space. And then press into the fingertips to push and lift the pelvis and the ribs up. Tuck the toes, shift the pelvis to the sky, up and back, downward facing dog. So bend the knees as much as you need to here, and lengthen the top and the bottom of the hamstring away from each other. Now see if you can step the right foot a few inches forward on the yoga mat. And you're going to start to shift the weight forward to the hands as you step the left foot a few inches forward. And see what you can do here in the way of walking the feet up to the top of the mat. Lift your hands at any point. Bend into the knees, scoop the tailbone, slowly come all the way on up to stand. When you reach yourself all the way up, reach high with the arms and soften them down. One more time, we'll reach the arms all the way up. And on the exhale, hinging forward at the hips, that means keeping the hamstrings nice and long, the tops and the bottoms of them lengthening away from each other. Bend into the knees and hips so the low back gets really long here, and get so strong that you can stand on your left leg. Step the right foot back, tap the knee down to the floor to like a stack of blankets or something if it's tender, and come on up to your low lunge. Take the right hand into a fist and press it into the right glute so you can kind of feel like what's that job, and then all of the stuff right around the sitting bone where the hamstring originates. We want to use that to really secure the thigh bone and hip in place. If it feels good to you to reach up through the arms, you can do that for a final little moment there. And then squeeze the hips into the pelvis as you reach the hands forward to the floor or to some yoga blocks or an ottoman, and lift your back leg. You're gonna walk the hands forward and lift the back leg up for a standing split. So we want the spine nice and long here. Bend your standing leg so you can get back into that left glute. So the hamstring on that left side is super long, the top of it lifting up. As we feel ready, reach the right leg back. We're gonna crawl the hands back and come into a runner's stretch here. So bending into your right knee, rocking up onto your left heel, and kind of pulsing the pelvis back, playing around with some openness through that left leg. As we feel ready from here, we'll walk the hands to the inside of the left foot, turn open to the right, and side lunge the right leg. So opening up the inseam of the left leg and getting the brain into both legs, the hamstring muscles on both sides, even though they're doing very different things. Walking ourselves over to the right foot, coming onto the left toes, and then seeing push down through the legs, use their strength to roll on up to a high lunge. Okay, so you find the legs, squeeze them into the hips, the top of the hamstring muscles working right at the sit bones. Good. Let's step forward and lift the left leg up in front of us and flatten out the right hip crease. So we're really going to use the standing hamstring here, the right hamstring. Start by reaching the right arm up and feel a whole length on the front of the right side of the body, the right thigh, the right lower abdomen, ribs, all the way up. Now take the right hand to the front of the right pelvis. We want to fold there while keeping the low back stable as we hinge forward over the right leg. Really use that hamstring. Push through the left heel, warrior three. Bend the left knee into the belly. Stay long in the hamstring as you come up. Reach the right arm all the way up to the sky so you lengthen out that side. Then you use the right hand on the front of the hip to remind yourself it's the underwear crease where I want to move, nowhere else. And I want to use the hamstrings well. Good job. We're going to do this 2 more times. So pull the knee in, come all the way back on up, lengthen the right arm if you like that. Yes, good job. Right hand to the front of the pelvis. Hopefully you feel your right buttock on fire, your right hamstring on fire. Keep breathing. One more time, left knee in, you can do it. Right arm. Right hand to the front of the hip. We got this. We're gonna stay in warrior three just for a moment. Stretch the left foot back and turn open to the side. So all 10 toes pointing in the same direction. You decide how wide apart the feet are. Good job. And just kind of shimmying the pelvis a little bit here. Get a little bit of freedom. The thighs and the pelvis. We want to be able to move all of that stuff. Now, could you center the pelvis evenly between your legs? Push down through your feet and use your leg muscles to hold your legs really strong. And then hinge forward over the top of the thigh bones. Now, the knees can be bent any amount, and if you max out someplace high, don't be afraid to move over to an ottoman or a counter or something like that. You know, the floor is just one option. It's just the most obvious option we have. Stay low as you turn over the front leg. We're going to take the right knee down. So we started here as like this little low lunge. Really pull the legs into the hips as you ground the right hand and spin open to the left, maybe reaching left fingers up. But if left fingers up doesn't feel good, don't worry about that. You can do left elbow up or just left hand on the back or on the side. Really standing on that right shoulder blade, spinning into it and lengthening out from the pelvis evenly on all sides of the torso. Taking the left hand down, shoulders over the wrists, step the left foot back so you find plank pose. And you grip the hamstrings and the buttocks. You keep that as you tap the knees down. Continue to use hamstrings and buttocks. Bend the elbows, ground the fingers, keep the shoulders lifting. Come all the way down. Release and relax down here, at least with the upper body. Just feel free to let go there completely. Get yourself organized in your core, and then lift the right foot and knee off the ground just an inch. That comes from the thigh lifting. It does not come from the low back extending. We do the same thing with the left leg. And then we can swim up and down, left and right, trying to stay broad in the low back. So if you feel pinching back there, that means you're kind of squeezing in. You got to work on maintaining your guts on the front of your body and really growing broad left to right in the low back. Okay, here's something a little bit mildly annoying, but that's always good to do. Lift your right foot and knee up off the ground. So you're using the hamstring already. Hold or keep the knee where it is. See if you can curl the knee any amount. Ooh, my foot is cramping. Geez, don't be afraid of the cramps. They can happen. But they just go, you get out of it, they go away, everything's great, straighten the leg. Release that all the way down. Hands underneath the elbows, shoulders lifted, and now press on up to the knees. Tuck the toes, shift the pelvis up and back, downward facing dog. So feel the hamstrings here. Again, they want to lengthen, so the top of the hamstring lengthens away from the bottom of the hamstring. That can happen when the knees are bent, same as if the legs are straight. And at the same time, the low back wants to get big. So if you lengthen your hamstrings and then your low back goes out, you know that that's not an honest way of doing things. Let's go ahead and step the right foot forward, followed by the left. And you just see, like, how does it work to walk all the way up to the top of the mat? Bend into the knees, scoop the tail, use your hamstrings to support your way up, reaching all the way up to the sky. Soften the hands down. One more time, reach the arms all the way up. We're almost there. We have one more side to do. Here we go. We're going all the way down over the legs. Get so strong on that right leg. You can lift the left leg up, stretch the foot back, the knee taps down to the floor. We come up to a low lunge. With a left hand in a fist, gripping into the left side of the buttock to remind it to turn on. And if something doesn't feel right here, move around in your pelvis, use your time wisely to get yourself to feel anchored. If it ever feels good for you to lift your arms, you can lift your arms. So from here, we shall take the hands down to in front of us, the floor or an ottoman, and see if we can lift the left leg off the ground for a standing splits. And so do less is more here as you lift the leg. Like, don't feel like you have to get the leg super high so that you can work on your standing leg. It's more about that. Like, bend your standing knee, get back into that right glute, and then soften and land that left foot. Walk yourself back to a little runner stretch here. So not a whole lot of rules sometimes. Just kind of feel for yourself what feels good in your body. So you can take breaks whenever you need to, do something different whenever you need to. Let's turn open to the left, side lunge to the left, bending into that left leg. You can stay still or move around here, whatever's gonna feel good to you and your hips, but feel both of the hamstrings. Don't let them go from your mental map. Let's continue walking around to over the left foot, and then ground down through your feet. Can you roll up to a high lunge? Yeah, there you go, it's all good. And so just use your legs, get them connected, organized into the hips. You're gonna stand up on that left leg, so use that left hamstring to pull yourself up. All right, so the right leg's in front, left arm reaching up to the sky, so you feel that whole long side. Then take the left hand to the front of the hip, find the underwear crease. That's where you move from as you hinge. And then if you want warrior 3, and so pulling that right knee all the way in, lifting the left arm, lengthening that side, left hand to the hip crease, hinging forward, standing balance, maybe warrior 3 in that right leg. Let's do this 2 more times. So try to move slowly with control. Feel that standing hamstring support all of this good work. And if this is feeling not quite possible for you today, move to a countertop. And that right arm, or even that left arm, can be on the counter. Okay, on this last time, warrior 3 for a moment. Really feeling that burn. Step the right foot back. In an organized way, turn open to the right. Feel your feet on the ground, move your pelvis around. You're just kind of shimmying it out. Left, right, front, back. See how your ankles feel, your feet feel. Do you need to reposition them? Your knees. Find a position as best you can where the joints feel well supported, and then use your muscles to maintain that as you hinge forward. Eventually, maybe lowering the hands to the legs, again to an ottoman in front of you, a step stool, a yoga block, the floor. We begin to walk ourselves forward over the front knee, taking the back knee down, so we're kind of where we were, and we're squeezing the legs into the hips as we ground the left arm and maybe open to a twist here. So really feeling ourselves open from that left armpit, collarbones nice and broad, head and neck nice and soft. Taking that right hand down to the floor, lifting the left knee, stepping the right foot back, finding plank pose, top of a push-up, holding, feeling the hamstrings, the buttock, tap the knees down. Continue to feel that work as you bend the elbows and lower all the way to the floor. Release the upper body, stack the hands, maybe just drop the forehead down, take a few moments. You can massage out your belly, rocking your pelvis a little bit to the left and to the right. Lengthen the legs straight behind. This time we'll lift the left foot first, foot and knee up off the ground just an inch. Then we'll add the right leg and we'll swim a little bit up and down. Doing less if it means that you can feel it in your hamstrings and your buttocks more, especially if you're feeling it in your low back at all. Meet with the left foot and knee lifted. Either hold here, this is good work, or keeping the knee lifted, begin to curl, little hamstring curl, using the hamstring, not the low back. If you feel it in the low back, you're moving something we're not intending to move. Lengthen the left leg back. And release, let it go. This is actually a pose, it's called crocodile pose. So feeling like you can just let go into the floor. If it feels good for you to rest and take Shavasana where you are, I'll offer us a belly down Shavasana today. If you prefer to come onto your back or get onto a couch, you can do that as well. You're welcome to spend any amount of time in Shavasana as you'd like. In fact, I encourage you to let this class fade out and stay here for as long as you'd like. I hope your hamstrings feel a lot stronger and longer after today's class, and will hopefully feel better for you in daily life. And if that's true, then return to this class many times, as often as you need, for a little quick hamstring pick-me-up. And before I leave you today, I will leave you with 3 reminders. Reminder 1, make sure you are subscribed to our free weekly letter. You can do that on our website. 2, subscribe to us on YouTube if that is where you are watching this. And 3, donate if you can. It should be pretty easy to figure out. It's on our website, yogainyourlivingroom.com. All right, thanks so much. Have a great rest of your Shavasana. I'll see you here soon.